Welcome to this video series of TimeCatchApp. In this particular video, we are going to talk about the status of tasks and automated alerts that are triggered in TimeCatchApp that are sent to you by email. So let's start with the status of tasks. You can set the status of task when you create a task. You click on that big red plus button and you get a dialog box, create new task, and where you specify the details of the task you are creating. And at that time, you can enter in the start date and the due date. There is a default due date, but you can change that by entering your due date to your own specifications. When you do that, you see that there's a status that shows up. The status that would show up if you put a date of today or one in the past is pending, and that automatically shows up. In progress is if you have a task, again, a pending task with the date today or a date in the past, and you start clocking into it, then it'll show up as in progress. And the completed is when you mark the task in your dashboard from a drop-down action item as complete. It would show as complete, and I will show you those status on the dashboard right after we talk about another status that is not showing in the drop-down box but is mentioned in the warning below. The start date needs to be in the future for waiting status. So this is exactly what it says. If you pick a start date that's in the future from today, you will get the waiting status because that task would be waiting. So right there, I changed the date to 11th March and the status automatically changed to waiting. So now let's go to the dashboard and I will show you a task that has a project that has tasks in all these different completion status. There's pending, in progress, complete, and waiting. So the pending would be a date that's already passed or is today, and you haven't started clocking into it. You don't have any time, you haven't started working on it. In progress is a pending task that has work in it, and so you have clocked in and you have time on it. So that would show up as in progress. Complete is when you mark it as complete, and you do that by when you finish the task, and so you mark it as complete by a drop-down box in the action items right there at the bottom. You can click on that and it will mark it as complete. And the waiting task is one that had a future start date. Let's see, 11th March. Now note that both the complete and the waiting tasks have the clock in button grayed out so that you cannot clock in until the waiting becomes pending task. Or in the case of complete, you do have the option to go back to the edit task, which you would do by clicking on the project. You get edit task, and then you can change the status back to in progress or pending, depending on if you want to work on it some more. Similarly with the waiting, you can always edit these and change the status. Now related to this, start and due dates are the automated alerts. One of the instances in which you get an automated alert from TimeCatchApp is when you have a task that is coming up. The start date is approaching, and it sends you an email saying 3 days in advance of the start date, saying your start date is approaching, so you can prepare and be aware that you are approaching the start date of the task. Similarly, it will send you an automated alert 3 days before the due date of a task so that you know that you are fast approaching the due date you set for the task. And that way you can expedite the process if necessary or change the due date. You might need to consult the client to do that, but it gives you a warning so that you know that. You also get automated alerts when you forget to clock out. So for example, if I clock into this task and I forget to clock out, I will be sent a warning saying you have been clocked in for more than 8 hours. You generally get that you will get that email after 8 hours of being clocked in. So it says, you've been clocked in for more than 8 hours. Did you forget to clock out? And if you say yes, it will take you to a spot where you can put in the correct time that you intended to clock out. And so you do not get unintended time, and you are aware that you forgot to clock out. And so you have the opportunity to correct that mistake as soon as possible. Another instance in which you will get an automated alert is when someone adds you, the owner of a task adds you to a task. For example, going into the create new task, the owner, in this case, here will assign users to the task. And if you're assigned as a user, you'll get an automatic email telling you about that so that you know that you have responsibilities under that task, and you can review its start date and due date, particulars of the task. Finally, I want to show you how this pending task changes to in progress the minute I start clocking in. So let me clock in here, and you can see right away the status changed to in progress. I hope this video was helpful in explaining to you the status of tasks in TimeCatchApp, and also what and when the triggers automated alerts that warn you about circumstance changes or things you overlooked in TimeCatchApp or approaching deadlines. Thank you for watching. It's your time. Make it pay. Happy time catching.